I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Welcome to this week's Limitless Total Apex Media's Limitless Range Basketball Podcast. We're on a different format here this week to unforeseen circumstances, even though I've seen it coming for a little bit. But anyway, my name is Brandon Ellis, your host as always. I got my boys Jacob with me and Shane. Say what's up, fellas.
What up?
What's good, guys?
But anyway, so we're on this new format. It's going to be an interesting format. And let's start how we normally start. Shane's DFS picks. So go ahead, Shane.
All right. So here's the deal. There are two values that are probably going to be really chalky because a lot of teams should have them. Those players are Mitchell Robinson, who's only 4,000, and Miles McBride, who's only 4,400. I'm sorry. McBride's been getting a ton of minutes. Robinson less so. It'll depend on kind of flow of the game. However, I don't think it's going to happen tonight. But the last game, Karl Anthony Towns did get in some foul trouble. Mm-hmm. So it was either Robinson seeing extra minutes or they played small ball. Mm. Another guy, I didn't think of this before, but you can also probably put in Landry Shamet in because he'll probably hit a couple threes. Yeah. We were just talking pregame about who the Cavaliers are going to start, and according to NBA.com, it's Dean Wade is starting over Max Strus, which is kind of feels bad because you don't really want Dean Wade. Not even like he's not even a bad player. He's a good player. He gets you nothing from fantasy. You would want Strus, and Strus is 5,600, mind you. You'd want him to have starting minutes.
Yeah,
because you want him to get as much shots up as possible, so he can hit as many threes as possible. Now, I still like him as a play because you don't want really anyone else on this Cavs bench, like I said. So I still like that play. Yeah. But just know that he's 5,600. So you're hoping that he is out there, then he's shooting. And so the other thing about tonight is I think Brunson is going to be the best pay up, who is 1,000. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I think he's going to be the best is we've seen the past two games, and they talked about this on First Take, get up inside the NBA, almost every show that covers basketball.
Yeah,
their plan was to double Brunson and let Hart in Mikal Bridges in particular shoot. And the last game in particular, Hart destroyed them. Yeah, like from beyond the arc, just completely lit them up. So I think it's going to happen tonight. Is Atkinson is going to try to put more hats on a hat and play a bit more man and less double. He like I.
Uh-oh. Shane, you're muted. Shane, you muted.
Shane, you accidentally muted yourself.
I accidentally muted myself.
Repeat all that.
You know that's an accident because I love hearing myself talk. But
yes.
Yeah, so Brunson, I would go as a pay up. Donovan Mitchell is also a big pay up. Just because it's elimination time, and I think that just personally he's going to take it upon himself to try to lead the team to a win. We'll see if they get it. And a big mid-value player that I'm looking at is OG Anunoby. He is 7,600, which he usually is in the 6,800 range, but he scored 23 or 21 in game 3. Yeah. So he looks back from his injury. And he will benefit again from that. I actually think the thing is, if they wanted to go to more man defense, he benefits more from Brunson kicking the ball out because he can create his own shot as well as hitting
What
the
is
open ones.
what is Mikal Bridges' value right now?
That's a good
All
question.
right, so Mikal Bridges is 7,000 flat.
That's not bad.
He's actually projected to get 29.3 points.
That's
Which
that's
makes
good.
sense.
Yeah,
But
because I saw a
Mike-
stat or something. He's shooting like 68% from the field, so it's just like he's just been on a tear offensively.
Yeah.
So I just wonder. I'm surprised it isn't higher than that. But at the same time, he doesn't get that many shot opportunities. But even when he's gotten them, it's just been lights out. So that's a good value pick right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
love it.
Yeah, honestly, because of the money, he definitely should be seen in some lineups. It's just that if the Cavs, if they play a more even defense, Bridges might see less shots.
Yeah.
Or at least less open shot. But I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll double.
Well, the way they've been playing
and
on
just
offense
say,
with the distributing, I feel like he'll get at least a few shots up. Like even though like you said, they might put more emphasis on playing straight up defense. I feel like for Bridges, like even if that's happening, I feel like he'll still be effective just because he's been super effective throughout this playoff run. So I feel like that's a pretty good steal.
Yeah. It's been since that game. It's been since the end of the Hawk series, right?
Yeah,
it's sort of been on like a different.
Mhm.
The Hawks,
well, they all have really, but Bridges more so because he was struggling, which has been a great thing to see.
Yeah. No, I'm happy for Mikal Bridges. And he had to deal with a lot because a lot of people were saying that he's the worst of the starting five. They shouldn't have gave up so much draft capital for him.
Yeah.
So he's almost playing himself out of a lot of stigma, and I like to see that happen. I always am afraid that one of these games he will have another 0 for 6 game. I'm not saying I hope it happens. It could happen. Yeah. But as of recent, if you're going by what he's done recently, Mikal Bridges is a great play. And I'd probably rather have him than Jarrett Allen is $200 costlier.
Yeah.
But he could always have an off game as well.
I wouldn't trust it.
Allen has been a lot more inconsistent compared to Bridges. So I feel like if you wanted to choose between the two, definitely go Bridges, be a more safer route.
Yeah, and also because so far in this series for Cleveland bigs, Mobley has out rebounded Jarrett Allen.
Yeah,
specifically.
So
if you want a big, you would rather pay up for Mobley. Mobley's at also because tonight's showdown, Mobley's at 9,000. So I think he's a very good captain option. So where you're fine paying the 0.5 for him or the 1.5 for him, and he'll get enough production where you'll see a lot of points, and then you can afford Brunson and Mitchell and maybe your other pieces. So yeah,
that's good. That's good stuff. I think we're gonna slide in and talk about the series as a whole. I'll go ahead and get us started with that discussion real quick. Obviously, this Cavs Knicks series has been lackluster since the Cavs were up 22 and they blew the lead, to say the least. That was the only interesting thing about the series to this point was the fact that the Cavs were up so big in Madison Square Garden in game one, and then they collapsed, so to speak. In the last 2 games, it's been Knicks clearly dominant throughout the game. I'll start with this, and I'll pitch it to you guys. Your thoughts on Kenny Atkinson as a head coach after this? If they get swept tonight, do you think Kenny Atkinson stays as the Cleveland Cavaliers head coach?
I can't imagine that they will allow him to stay, simply because not because he's not a good head coach, because he is. He's proven that throughout his career, but just because when you're going into the offseason for the Cavs, you're going to probably get LeBron back. and you're going to want like a high-end coach to come in and really, coach this group. So I just feel like that will be more of a factor than the playoff failures, because obviously getting to the conference finals is a big deal, especially for the Cavs, because outside of LeBron, they never in their franchise's history really get to this round of the playoffs.
This is the first time the Cavs went to the finals without LeBron on the team since 1992.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think the playoff failures will be the factor for it. I think it'll be more LeBron wants to come in, exert a little bit control, to want a more high-end coach. So I think that plays more of a factor. And of course, there are some pitfalls with Atkinson as a coach you've seen in the playoffs so far. He doesn't utilize his timeouts well. His rotations are never really consistent. Like we were talking before the show, tonight, Dean Wade is going to start over Strus, and that makes no sense to me because, as Shane pointed out before the show, Strus gets Wade gets you like one basket per game, and then that's it. Yeah. So I just don't. That sort of plays a factor, and then the fact that, look, as a coach, you don't get extra points for having all your timeouts at the end of the game. So it makes no sense when the Knicks in game one go on an 18-1 run to really cut into that 22-point lead. And, Atkinson doesn't call any of the 3 timeouts he has. That boggles my mind as a coach. So I feel like I wouldn't say this playoff series or playoffs in general has really impacted his legacy as a coach. I think it definitely – and I don't think it's impacted so much of his, job security. I just think they're going to want to go in a different direction come the summer.
Yeah, I agree with that. Shane, your thoughts on that Atkinson potentially losing his job?
Yeah, well, 2 things. First of all, I think he's made a lot of mistakes, and I think Jacob only outlined half of them, and he won for a while. You know what I mean? So I could talk more about how like they don't rotate. Sometimes I think it's effort, but I think he heard that like you need a double Brunson, or he saw tape and he said, I need the double Brunson. But I don't think when we as like a sports community, media, whatever, when we said you need to double Brunson, we didn't say leave Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges wide open to shoot whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know there's some discrepancy over whether that was the game plan or not, but like I think people don't understand is you can double a guy and have other defenders rotate so that way you're leaving someone open who's on the other side of the court, and it's more strategic that way. So it's really just this series, but this series is the difference maker because I mean they've also done enough deep playoff runs to the point where the organization is probably looking like, okay, we know that we're good enough on paper to get to an ECF or a conference final or a playoffs round 2, but our roster is probably good enough for a finals appearance, NBA finals appearance. We're not getting there. The second thing is that regardless of what I think, if LeBron comes in the offseason, Atkinson's days are numbered. It has nothing to do with him. It's just that LeBron will bring in someone he sees fit. And it doesn't matter how good you are. We saw in LA, he brought in Frank Vogel, then Tyronn Lue, then now he has JJ. It's just, even if he was doing like an okay job, I think he would be eventually gone. So yeah.
So now we'll transition to the Knicks side of the series before we go and go to the other series.
Yeah,
the Knicks have been on a tear. Obviously, the last few games, winning. Obviously, almost going to get a sweep in this series on a 9-game win streak right now. I think now it's 10.
It was 10 games. It's 10 games now. Yeah. After their Game 3 victory, it's 10.
Yeah. Okay. So it's 10 games. 10 games straight. The Knicks are probably playing the best brand of basketball in these, at least last couple of weeks out of anybody, even on the Western Conference side. I think. Do we think the Knicks have a legit title shot?
Shane, you want to take it first?
Yeah. All right. So okay. Do they have a shot?
Do we have a legit title shot, like winning the final?
Yeah. They have a viable shot, but if I were making odds, I wouldn't give the Knicks too much of a chance. Here's the bottom line. I love watching the Knicks play basketball this season.
Yes.
They move the ball wonderfully. Here's the issue. They played Philly, and now they're playing the Cavaliers. They are not top defensive teams. They're waiting on either the Thunder or the Spurs. What are the Thunder and Spurs really good at?
Defense.
Yeah.
Defense. So that's why I do feel like, and even the fact that that series is going 2-2, I think it is showing that people were had a point at the beginning of the season where they said that it was the Thunder and Spurs or the class of the NBA, and it was sort of everyone else but them. Yeah. I'm not gonna say it's never gonna happen because I feel like it's almost disrespectful for the Knicks who built this very well-rounded team. And even though you can say the stars are Brunson and Cat, I say team because from the starting five to the bench, they all play in sync, and each player knows their role, and it's great to watch. But I don't want to say that they're cruising to this 10-game winning streak, but they're going to get 2 sweeps on teams that are not known for their defense, and they're waiting for defensive juggernauts in the West. So if I had money, it's going to the Western Conference Finals winner to win the title. But like I said, again, with Nick, if you make it, you're probably going to make it to the finals.
Yeah.
If you lose in 4, or you itch out a game 4 in New York and it's a gentleman's sweep, that's still a great season.
Yeah.
You beat everyone that was in front of you except for one of the 2 juggernauts in the West. So I would say not likely. But,
you want to go first, Brandon, and then I'll speak.
No, I'll get since you're transitioning, I forgot.
Okay,
I'll go first. I'll say this. I've said it all along. I think the West is the 2 teams left in the West are better than the Knicks in a 7-game series. I like both Mitch Johnson and Dagnall better than Mike Brown coaching wise. And I like each of the stars on those 2 teams better than the Knicks stars. I think the only situation where the second player's better is if the Knicks face the Spurs and Cat is playing out of his mind better than Castle or Fox or whoever you want to call the second best player in the Spurs,
or even a Thunder team without J-Dub,
or a Thunder team without J-Dub. That's a good point too.
Yeah,
I still would give the Thunder the edge because Chet would step up. I think in a Knicks series, into that second role. I think better, and he would perform better than Cat. And I think he would be a Cat stopper basically because they'll match up Holmgren on Karl Anthony Towns as he can go out to the 3-point line and guard Towns. If you want to look at matchups per se in that situation. So that being said, the matchups, what the Knicks are really great chemistry team. They have really great chemistry because Brunson and Mikal and Josh Hart all play together in college and all that stuff, and they played for multiple years together now since the Mikal deal.
Especially deep playoff runs too.
They mostly had deep playoff runs. Last couple of years they had some deep playoff runs together, and so they know what they're doing and they know how to be a great chemistry team. But so have the Thunder. The Thunder are also in that conversation of chemistry. They just won the championship last year. They know how to do it. But the Spurs on the other hand, they're the most impressive when it comes to this situation because this is really their first year doing it. And the chemistry is just like top notch when it needs to be. And I just love the vibes of that team. So I would still give like I said, I would still give the edge to the Spurs in that series because I did pick the Spurs. Like, let's just all remind ourselves, it put San Antonio to win it all when we made our first episode of the pod. So I would still lean Spurs or Thunder over Knicks. It's not to say I don't believe in New York. I still think New York has like a strong chance if it's the Thunder and J-Dub doesn't come back right away. I still think the Knicks have a legit shot in that series. Granted, too, I know the Spurs, they beat the Spurs in the Cup final in December, and that is something else that people will bring up.
Both teams were different by then. I don't really take regular season wins, like except for maybe the Spurs Thunder one, but even then that's panned out where we're like, okay, it's going to be a close series just because both of these teams by this point are better teams than what they were during the season. So I would say it depends on the matchup. I think if it's the Spurs, I don't think they have a shot. Like, especially like a healthy Spurs team, like everybody's healthy and in sync already. I just don't see them being able to carve out enough to win. I would say maybe like Spurs in that situation 5 or maybe even 6 if we want to, because the MSG is such a tough place to play. I would, maybe lean a little bit towards more Spurs in 6. But on the other hand, if it's the Thunder and they don't have J-Dub, and especially if Mitchell misses more time, because he's been a huge bonus guy for them coming off the bench, or even when he's plugged in starting alongside SGA these playoffs, he's been a crucial part of what they do. And if he misses time, man, that rotation, like even though they're a deep team, that rotation shrinks even further. And it really puts a strain on, the SGA and that starting lineup really having to produce. So I feel like if it were the case, if it's the Thunder, I would say maybe Thunder in 7, but I would maybe give like the Knicks a really good shot to beat them without J-Dub or Mitchell. So I would say in that scenario, they have a shot there. But overall, it just depends on their thing. And speaking of the Spurs and the Thunder, obviously the Western Conference Finals is kind of playing out like how we expected it to so far, because every one of us said it was at least a 6 or 7 game series. And so we're getting that. I want to pose this question to you guys. If whoever wins game 5, do you think they win the series in the Western Conference Finals?
Yes.
Okay.
I just can't go against the history. Like 70% of the teams that win game 5 in the best of 7 in the NBA history have gone on to win it like 70% of the time. Yeah. And I just can't I think game 5 is going to be the one that's so pivotal. In this series. And I don't want to give I'm going to give a prediction here in a little bit as we go on. But
towards the end of this segment, you give a prediction.
Towards the end of the segment, I just want to say opening statement. Yeah, game 5 winner is going to win it. Either 6 or 7.
Yeah. Shane, you want to give your prediction sort of for that, especially given the impact of game 5?
Yeah, well, what I think is going to happen is that, and the reason why I love this series is that it's very easy to see the chess moves that they're both playing. So I actually think just because of the back and forth nature of this series, I think I could actually see a world where the Thunder win game 5 and the Spurs win 2 straight.
Yeah.
But for me, it depends on Victor Wembanyama's endurance, because in game 3, he got really shook up. I think that game 3 was the Thunder's best defensive effort against him. And so when he says, okay, that's not happening again. So last night, he drops 33 and however many rebounds and however many blocks it was. But so, I think that I could see, Also, the Thunder had to play offense differently last night because can we just pour one out for like the Thunder bench? Because like Jared McCain and Caruso were fire for games 1 through 3, and they were ghosts of themselves last night.
Yeah,
and I think part of it was because of the defense that the Spurs said we're gonna defend Shea 1-on-1, and then we're gonna put a hat on a hat and make sure we don't give up open looks.
Which I'm glad you brought up the Shea, like the 1-on-1, because I want to praise Stephon Castle's effort last night on the defensive side of the floor. I really want to praise that because that was like phenomenal from Steph Castle. And apparently he had a personal loss in the family yesterday, as some people were reporting. And everything like that. His mom had a post that she had to take down because of Thunder fans, ironically, saying some disrespectful stuff and everything like that. And you never see that. Prayers out to the Castle family, but Stephon Castle played his behind off last night. He played really well. On the defensive side of the floor in that game, set the tone, guarded Shea really well. Shea still had a decent numbers stat wise game, but
his efficiency was way off. He only had 19 points and it was like 5 to 17. He could not buy a bucket last night.
And so this is the thing I'm telling people: holding Shea to 19, that's a victory.
Yes,
it's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. You're not going to hold him to no 5 points. You're not going to hold him to below 15 point or 15% from the field. It's not happening. He's too good.
Right.
Exactly right to Castle. You know, like he and again, Mitch Johnson for the game plan and the faith that said we believe in Stephon Castle so much that he's going to be on Shea, and we're going to chase the Thunder off the 3-point line, and we're going to hold them. So it was the only 3 that I think they hit in the entire game was like Jalen Williams in like the first quarter, and like Caruso had 0 points on the game.
One shot. One shot.
Caruso one shot. McCain, I think, was 0 for 6 or 0 for 7 from 3. So basically, when we were talking about adjustments, I think that in a similar way to Wemby last night, who took it upon himself to get his 33, Shea might be like, oh, well, if you hold me to 19, well, the next game is going to be the Shea Butter Clinic, and we're going to get, probably a 30 piece.
I think since we're on the topic of adjustments, I feel like there was a great in-game adjustment that Mitch Johnson sort of did for the Spurs last night, and where they were kind of, when they were trying to run a Hartenstein pick and roll with Shea, they would have Wemby kind of sort of shade over to where Shea was, and that kind of gave, and then Shea would just dump it off to Hartenstein. They would get good scoring opportunities off of that. I think they had like 4 straight possessions where they kind of ran that action. And then the Spurs immediately called timeout after that. And on the very next play, they tried to run that action out of the timeout, the next offensive possession for the Thunder. Instead of Wemby shading over towards Shea, he did a drop-down coverage where he was able to, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Here comes Hartenstein. I'm going to stay over here, drop-down coverage, so that way when he rolls, I'm going to stay right here, but I'm also going to be in a position. I'm going to also position myself to where if Shea tries to drive at me, I can use my length to sort of cut him off and, deter any shots. And they were able to do that. And that harkens back to the adjustments made before the game, like we were talking about, where instead of doubling Shea, they just played straight up man defense. It was just like, okay, Shea's going to have to beat Castle 1-on-1 every single time up the floor. So it was more so, and then that also, I think, plays a factor into why the bench fell off as well, because you see that action where they try to double Shea, but it leaves, the weak side open in the corners, especially in the corners for Caruso and them. They had been feasting on those corners for the first 3 games, and Caruso and guys like Caruso and McCain were just getting great shooting opportunities there. And now that they kind of sort of, okay, we're going to spread the defense out. We're going to cover everybody. We're going to make Shea have to work for every shot. And I do think that the injuries of both J-Dub and Mitchell impact that further. And I think it's further it kind of goes into the Spurs' favor even further, honestly, in this series.
100%. This was so there's a couple of things I'll clean it up real quick. So the Thunder made 6 out of 33 threes last night.
Yeah.
So 6 out of 33 for 18%. The Spurs made 9 out of 33 from 3. So it wasn't much better from 3. Another thing I'll clean up, I'll add an additional fact that I'll add. This was the lowest output from a team that had the best record in the playoffs ever, like 82 points. So that was a huge stat that I found out last night on SportsCenter, and that was that's crazy to think about, and everything like that. And also we'll go into this too, as Jacob kind of went into it too. I'll go into it real quick a little bit too. The J-Dub and AJ Mitchell side of it limits like the injuries to those two limits their offensive creativity in the half court, as Shai's the only real ball handler in that situation. Which kind of like he said, and I'm going to say, it gives San Antonio the advantage of all advantage in that situation, I think, because all they have to do is hat in a hat, go one-on-one with Shai, and just deny the ball.
Yeah, because nobody else is going to beat them off the dribble or really anything else. So they're not really concerned about that. They're more so concerned about having an open 3. And then also that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on their starting lineup to produce as well, because even though they have some great scores that could come off the bench, they're not the same level of scores as like a J-Dub or, anything like that. Or like even Chet is not that much of an offensive juggernaut. He's a catch and shoot kind of guy. He can come out of the post, but that's about it. He's very limited on offense. So it puts so much pressure on Shai to have to produce, because if you're just going to get 19 points on 5 for 17 shooting, it's not going to work, because especially against this first team, and they need him to be at least above 30 points. But even then, I just don't see a scenario for the rest of the series where the Thunder come out and they score 76 bench points. I don't see that happening again in this series.
No, and the weird thing too about the series, and I'll let you go again, Shane. The weird thing now with the 2 injuries to Mitchell and Williams, it really slants it again. Like I said, now the Spurs are healthy. Like De'Aaron is back and Harper's back. So those 2 injuries I've seen to heal up for the Spurs in that situation. And like, granted, it's one of those things where you got health. Like it's the unfortunate thing. If they were both healthy, what would we get? Kind of a deal. And that's what this is. Some fans like myself as well. What if they're both teams are healthy? What series we would get? And that's it just sucks with, like, especially the J-Dub side of it too, because he's been dealing with like hamstrings. His hamstrings this year have been, hindering him all year.
We saw how close it was the first 2 games with J-Dub out there. It was really like an exciting series. So that injury really dampens it a little bit.
And then the Mitchell run really, really, really hurt the Thunder. I think it hurts the Thunder's chances. I think it does. I mean, them, because there's an interesting stat that Windhorst put up in the games without Mitchell and Williams this year, like having both of them, they're 11-10. In those games.
Wow.
But the weird thing is, half of those losses are also when Shai didn't play either.
So
it's like, half of the losses were when Alexander didn't play. So that really excuses. So this is really the first time when they had just Shai out there really offensively creating. And when a team like the Spurs is really defensive minded and how they're operating, I just think it's a great matchup now.
Yeah. I think you saw it that night too, just the way that, like, I mean, Shai has always been a high usage player, but like he was handling the ball on every play. So I think that's a good point about both AJ Mitchell and J-Dub. Obviously, the Thunder fans want J-Dub there because it's their second plus, but like even AJ Mitchell can, dribble and rush the paint sometimes, do a couple things. I think what they wanted the Thunder offense was just Shai creating, and then Caruso, McCain, the other J. Will, all these other shooters. It's just you're gonna have to be at the corner, and you're gonna have to get ready for the pass and shoot. So the Spurs didn't have the pass and shoot, ergo. So that's what I'm saying. That like, yeah, it's like a back and forth with the adjustments, and I could see the Thunder having a big risk, but it'll be like Shea dropping 30, and but in terms of like the entire series, I think the Spurs find a way to win it. Here's a question to you guys: if the Spurs win it, how many people do you think are going to be like, oh, well, it's because they didn't have J-Dub and AJ Mitchell?
Probably 99% of Thunder fans are going to say that. Everybody else is not really going to care because they want to see the Thunder lose. So, I think another point to touch on here is, you look at how close it was the first 3 games, and like the Spurs had like 1 billion turnovers through those first 3 games, and they were still close. Like the first game, they had like 20 something turnovers, and they still won. And it was that's so impressive to me, and it kind of shows like, even though turnovers can be a killer, turnovers are only a killer if you don't have great transition defense. Like your team doesn't make an effort to get back in transition. And so far, what you've seen in this is just like, the turnovers hurt, but the Thunder haven't been able to score off of them. So like even like so it doesn't really matter in that regard. And Brandon, you want to talk about what the question Shane posed real quick?
Yeah, I'll talk about that real quick, and we'll go on to the draft stuff. So I think, to answer Shane's question specifically, I think, like Jacob said, the Thunder fans will be like, okay, what happens if we had a healthy J-Dub and a healthy AJ Mitchell? What happens? I still think the Spurs win in 7 in that scenario. I really do. I think Wemby and them will find a way to get a 7-game series out of it. I think they have a complaint with that if the Spurs win in 6. If the Spurs win Game 5 tomorrow night and then win Game 6 on Thursday, I think fans, we can have that little excuse for a little bit and be like, oh, we didn't have the guys healthy, because I think if it slants that way, I just think they're just going to be dominant, and it's like it really slanted because of the injuries. If that slants that way, I just think too. Another thing is, but I just also think the depth of the Spurs has been so impressive in this series, and the poise for a young team that this is their first time really doing it. I just think they probably would have found a way to win in 7 anyway.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I wanted to add in real quick, especially on the injury front, since we're talking about that. Look, the Spurs didn't have Fox for the first 2 games. So we can talk about injuries all you want, but at the same time, the Spurs had dealt with an injury, and they were still able to, make the series 1-1, especially on the road. So I just don't see where the excuse comes in for that.
That's why I'm kind of. That's why I'm kind of pushing the brakes. I mean, Thunder fans would have a right, I think, to be sad about J. Will and them not being there. I'd be sad if the Celtics played without Derek White and Jaylen Brown.
Well, he also didn't have Tatum for the last game, so
exactly. But then, but I'm not even saying like even Celtics, just like teams dealt with a lot of injuries. Ask the Lakers how they feel about Luka's injury. Ask the Nuggets how they feel about Aaron Gordon's injury. Ask all these other, Philadelphia for the past decade about Embiid. I just feel like there's a lot of teams that are going to be talking about what they could have done without injuries, including the Spurs because they didn't have Fox. And if I had to look at all these teams, what they would do without those injuries, J-Dub is a great player. AJ Mitchell is a great player. But you know what? Shea, Chet, Hardenstein, and those shooters,
you still got a lot.
I feel like you still have a good shot. Yeah. So I don't know if it's going to be like a scare, like we were robbed level of, anger. But I'm fine with anger from Thunder fans. But sports media in general, I'm not sure if I'm ready to hear like, oh, if they had J-Dub, they would have,
Yeah.
they still probably would have lost.
I don't think the sports media will. I don't think the sports media will go at that angle per se because I hope they don't go. This is why I'm hoping they don't go with that angle. I hope they go with the angle that the Spurs are that impressive, and I'm sure guys like Wendy and Tim Legler and guys like that will keep that coverage side of it. Hopefully, when they're on Sports Center hits or whatever. But I'm sure guys like Burke and Stephen A. will maybe bring up.
I'm sure guys like Nick Wright will do that too, where they more so he doesn't like the Thunder, and I think a lot of it is some members in the media will say that because they don't like the Thunder. We'll just say Spurs earned it, and they don't really care about the injuries. So I just want to add that bit in.
That too, yeah. All right, Jacob, let's go into this draft stuff, and let's start with something you brought to the table.
Yeah, well, there was they had a questionnaire a couple days ago, NBA draft wise, where they asked about 10 league executives. They gave them a list of players, and they gave them, they gave them the choice of, okay, for these players, which ones should go back to college and which ones should stay in the draft. And I think out of the list of players, really only a few were that they really picked to really say, they should stay in the draft. I think the only unanimous one that they picked in the entire draft that said, okay, he should stay in the draft was Texas Tech's Christian Anderson. But outside of that, there were a few other players. I kind of want to get your guys' opinion on this. I'll give you a list of some of these players. So they said somebody like a Milan Momcilovic should stay in college. Koa Pete should stay in college. Jeremy Fears. And I think there was another one, Billy Richmond III, and I think Malik Thomas. So they really kind of said, and I think only a few of those were unanimous. I think it might have been Fears and Momcilovic were only the only kind of unanimous, definitely should stay in college. But I kind of want to get your guys' take on the draft and especially with the draft deadline coming up to withdraw from the draft. I think I want to get your guys' opinion on this matter real quick.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Shane.
You want to go first, Brand? Okay. Just real quick. I feel like it's a very interesting. I feel like when this poll was asked to what, NBA owners, coaches,
I think it was executives in general. So just front office execs for teams, not so much like an owner or something like that. It didn't really specify. It just said execs.
Yeah,
which I think it could be like assistant GM, scouts.
Yeah, it could be like the president or something like that.
Yeah, you know what? But see, even if there were scouts, I don't think what they would say in this poll would actually reflect what they want, because I guarantee you, if you're an executive of a team that wants a young player who's a freshman in college or high school, who we've seen become some of the greatest players of all time, and you ask them should they stay in the draft, they'd be like, well, we want them, so yes, we want them to stay in the draft. You know what I mean? Now, it's the way they ask it. So if you say well, generally should this player stay in college, I'm sure that they would say in a professional setting like this that okay, they'll try to actually analyze it. Okay, maybe you should stay in college for another year. No, you're NBA ready right now.
Well, the prospects within this list are all mid-round selections. So obviously, if it's a lottery stuff, they're not going to say, oh yeah, definitely staying. They're not going to really vote on the lottery pick sort of situation, just because all of those are pretty much guaranteed freaking stay in the draft. But like you said, I'll let you continue.
Yeah, no, it's just no, but no, that's a good point, because I think that if it was if they're asking should Diabonta, DP, Carlos, they'd say no, they should stay in the draft. So that's a good point. We are talking about players who are not in that first round, but I still think that while it's not as competitive to get those players in the later rounds, teams are still going to want who they want. Yeah. And just what we were talking about 5 minutes ago, the league is plagued with injuries. And it's an opportunity for younger players who, if they think they're maybe not going to see game time, they might see game time. Take a look at a team like the Bucks. Once Giannis was going through his stuff, and they got rid of. They sent Dame back to Portland. I know that happened a while ago, but they had to deal with injuries too. So there were nights where like their starting five would be like Ryan Rollins, Kevin Porter Jr., Onyema Deng, like a bunch of players that they wanted to keep and develop. So, I don't know. I guess I respect them for being a bit more magnanimous in that setting, but I feel like in the back of their head, they're like, we want all these players.
Yeah, like even like the unanimous ones, in my opinion, are just like, I'm pretty sure like the execs deep down are just like, I kind of want that one to stay just in case he falls or something like that. So, Brandon, you wanna chime in on this?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and chime in. Sorry, I'm.
No, you're good. You watch it. It's an extra innings. I understand.
They're tight game with Baltimore right now.
Yeah.
So where was it? Okay, so I think Fears should go back to school. I think Fears would benefit from another year with Tom Izzo. I really do, in that system. That is one I do agree with the execs in this poll that Spears should go back.
There was like 4, and then there was another one. Pete got the most for, or he got majority of like say like he should stay in college. So like out of those players, which ones do you think are just like, or like you're just like, yeah, definitely should stay in college? Obviously, you said Fears, but anybody else?
I think Pete. I think I like the Pete going at the college for a year kind of a situation. Because Burry's kind of overshadowed him at Arizona last year a little bit. Yeah. And towards the tail end, he kind of, you probably would know more than I do in that situation.
For Pete, just to chime in as an Arizona fan, he had a great start, but he kind of flamed out. Not so much flamed out. It was more so like his stock was super high after the Florida game because he dropped like 33 points in the opener. So obviously they're just like, whoa, okay. But even then, I kind of knew as the season went on, his flaws were going to become more known, especially the shooting part. Because I saw a video come out recently where he kind of changed his shooting motion again, and it's just sort of like I think he just needs a little bit more time to bake on that end. Because like obviously he's a physical freak. He's 6'8", has almost a 40-inch vertical. So athleticism stuff is good for him. It's just the technical parts of the game, especially when it comes to shooting, I think he needs a little bit more work. Whereas Burry's is a lot more polished on that, which is why he's obviously jumped up draft boards more so than Pete has, and Pete has more so went down.
Yeah, and then Malovich is the Iowa State guy, right? That everyone's talking about.
Yeah, Momcilovic. He's the Iowa State sharp eye or dead eye. Where he's just a great sharpshooter. And I think
I would think a team would want to take a chance on him in the draft. Because
he has great size and he can shoot. So that one was a little surprising to see like a unanimous for him.
Yeah, going back to college.
Yeah.
I was like, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, he's a sharpshooter. I don't know why they're like NBA teams don't want more, because that's what the game's trending towards is three in space kind of guys. So
it makes me think that maybe during the pre-draft process he wasn't committed to the draft per se. He was kind of thinking about, because especially with so much surrounding the transfer portal, especially with when regards to him, he has his name is in Kentucky rumors, this other program rumors. So and obviously he'll make a pretty penny if he returns, and I think his NIL deal is like up to 5 or 6 mil. So it's a pretty hefty amount. So for him, I think it was more so the reason it was unanimous. I think maybe during the pre-draft process, he didn't show a lot of commitment to wanting to be in the draft.
Yeah. You know what? See, just real quick. See, I'm still a little bit sus on even that, because you said he had to work on his shooting form, that he has a different form.
Oh no, that was Pete. That was Pete for him.
Oh, that was Pete. Okay. If I'm an NBA executive and I want Pete, I wouldn't wait for college to help him with this. I'd draft him, send him to I could send him to a camp where like Chris Paul, Ray Allen, and Reggie Miller teach him how to shoot, and then he'll be a god by the time the season starts. So that's why I know. always buy he needs to go back to college to work on. Like the NBA wants you to work on something, they'll find a way.
Yeah,
They'll find a way.
Yeah, that is true.
but I think for
maybe another part of the NBA draft topic. Sorry to cut you off, Brandon. What was it we wanted to talk about besides this one? It was more so like which teams do you think will want to trade up in the draft?
Yes.
So who do you guys think you could foresee be like, okay, yeah, they could definitely trade up in the draft to get a higher, get a better player. For me, like I'll start off, I think there are two definite contenders for that. And we kind of discussed that, me and Brandon, before the show. Is I think the Kings are one of those teams because as Brandon pointed out before the show, there's been rumors that they want, Acuff to come in. They want to really get him. And obviously Acuff is more of a high-end draft pick because most mock drafts have him going 5th overall to the Clippers. But I could also see the Clippers trading down to maybe get a different player because you already have a good guard play, especially with Garland now there, who's young and just now getting into his prime. So I could see that happening. The other one that I would say was maybe like the Warriors because they want to trade up and maybe get, I don't know, maybe one of the premier guards that are in this draft in terms of that, maybe like a Burries or something like that. Obviously in the mock drafts, they've had Burries go 11th, but depending on, especially with how the pre-draft process has worked so far, I could see Burries maybe jumping up a little bit more, or maybe they want to trade up and get like a Flemings or an Acuff sort of thing.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and bounce off that too real quick. From Shane's point of view, or from Jacob's point of view, I agree with the Kings definitely. Because the Kings GM coached Acuff's dad at Eastern Kentucky in college. So the family ties there is why I think a lot of the Kings organizations fall in love with Acuff. They know the family and they know how his work ethic will be from what the reports are saying. So I think the Kings will try to get with the Clippers and trade up or do a draft swap kind of thing like do like they Clippers will pick
like what Dallas and Atlanta did.
Yeah,
with Luka and Trey. Yeah.
We'll pick this guy and then we'll pick this guy for you. You pick something for us, kind of. We'll execute the trade. So I don't. It may be that kind of a trade, more so a trade up situation if it's an Acuff. The Clippers, I think because I just, that kind of a semantics kind of a trade, maybe.
Yeah.
The Kings will get their guy, and then the Clippers will get their guy at 7.
And it's only a 2-pick difference. I don't know if there will be much of a trade. Like, why would you trade it? Like, it's just there anyways.
Yeah. So that's pretty much. I think that might be the situation with that. I also would like to throw out a potential trade up team. That is like, what if the Thunder lose the series in 6?
Yeah.
Spurs. What if they lose the series in 6 and they have that 12th pick?
Yeah.
Do they want to stay at 12 or try to move up to get somebody that can go a little more off, but not more off ball, but more a guy that can create a little bit in this draft with all the assets they have in the future still, so that is something else to keep an eye on too. To go back to the conference finals side of things, because when you look at that, I'm like, that is an intriguing thing about this draft too. It's like if the Thunder decide we want to trade, kind of a deal.
How many teams are going to jump on that opportunity and be like, okay, we could get like a treasure trove. We could really get a decent amount of their picks. So
exactly. Exactly. If someone like somebody that's in the 5 that wants to trade down, for instance,
maybe like a Clippers situation because they've lost so much of the draft capital. Might as well, and especially because of the Paul George Thunder trade. So maybe get back some of that lost draft capital that you gave up. Back so I could see a situation like that.
You could see that. I that is one thing I wanted to pitch because I don't know if it's going to happen because I think Presti might just stay at 12 and see what's left. Kind of a deal.
I think a difference for the Thunder as well is more so they've kind of wanted to get more into the Giannis trade rumor stuff. So you wonder, are they really just let's just stay with the pick and then, we'll just trade all our other picks for Giannis in the future or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
there's a lot to unpack there.
That's something to think about for the Thunder. That's as a potential trade up kind of a team in that situation because that intrigues me. Another trade up is obviously Brooklyn. I mean, they might want to try to leverage. They don't have another pick, their own pick. Kind of a deal. They might try to want to leverage something from where they're picking at 6.
Yeah,
or trade back if they want to get more picks. Granted, they had 5 first-round picks last year. They didn't work, as we've talked about before.
Yeah.
So whatever they do, it's going to be maybe a catastrophe. So we'll see what they do. Another one is, I think, maybe, to be honest, the Dallas Mavericks. They're at 9. Do you think they want to go get like someone like a Wagler or a go up and get a Wagler or a Michael Jr. someone like that that might fall out of the range. Now Wagler
for the mock draft, they already had Mikal Brown Jr. kind of within that 9 range where they kind of had him going to Dallas. I don't know for Dallas they want to trade up just because you already have a lot of great things on the team, especially with Kyrie coming back. You already have a decent amount of pieces. I can't really imagine them trading up to like potentially get another piece like a Wagler or something like that because they already because it's not like the from a guard perspective, it's a pretty deep draft. So if you want to draft guard, you have plenty of options to choose from, especially if Burries is available at 9. So you can potentially take him or any number of guys. So I can't really see them wanting to trade up from 9, especially it's already a good position for them to be in.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Shane, who do you think out of these teams?
Yeah, so actually it's funny that Brandon was talking about the Thunder because I was going to joke and say, I think the Thunder need help. But Brandon actually made some good points why the Thunder could if they lose this game 6. And the thing is they have pieces to throw around. If I'm looking at who has pieces to throw around. So one team that I'm looking at is like potentially the Charlotte Hornets. Obviously they made the playoffs, but like they're trying to move up in the Eastern rankings. And I mean they have a lot of shooters. Do they want to, I could see them maybe like trading with Chicago, like maybe like they really want Boozer, throw Brandon Miller at him or Bridges at him. I'm not sure if they would do that because I think the Bulls really want Boozer to be.
I think for the Bulls, if in that situation, I think if they wanted to trade anybody, I think if Bridges wouldn't be on the table, it would definitely be Miller. And I just don't see Charlotte wanting to, part ways with him.
Yeah, give up Brandon Miller. And
yeah. No, they don't want to give him up. I was just thinking like if a team had pieces to go up, so like. I think that's why I don't want to say the Nets because, like, they should probably hire on this draft board. But, like, if I'm any of those other 5 teams, it's like I want Michael Porter Jr. or you can't call me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's like, do they want to really leverage their future like that?
Yeah.
In terms of the Bucks, Jacob's not going to like this. Apparently, Giannis said that he wants to go to the East Coast for the reason that it's a quicker flight to Greece, so his family and friends can go back. So now the one team that would might want Giannis, I'm not saying they should do it, but the Wizards are there on the East Coast.
I think for us, as a Wizards fan, I just don't see that happening more so because we would have to give up a decent amount. Like even then, like because in my mind, like who could we trade out of that? Because obviously we'd have to give up the first overall pick to get Giannis.
Yeah, so you're giving up
we'd have to give up that. I don't know about that. And then we'd have to package it with a couple players. And I just don't really want to give up too many of our players. Like I doubt we could put AD in there, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we'll take that." I doubt the Bucks would even say yes to that.
Yeah, I don't think they would take AD.
It would have to be one of our young players, and I can't see us doing that. I think it makes more sense for like if we're talking about the Giannis trade in terms of draft capital, it makes more sense for somebody like the Miami Heat. But that's more so, I think. But that's more of a summer thing. That's not really a draft thing for the Heat.
Yeah. Well, if they the Heat's at 13.
Yeah,
so
like I can't see the Bucks doing that. Like, oh, we'll add our third. Like he'll be like, oh, we'll give you our 13th pick, and they're just like, dude, we're drafting 10th. So what?
Yeah, exactly. Like, thank you. Yeah. No, so I agree with you that Washington probably shouldn't make that deal. They should probably take.
No, we've had that discussion before. Like, should they trade the pick when we were talking about who won the lottery? I'm just like, we can't at this point. No.
Yeah. But I think they'll get a phone call. Basically.
Yeah, unless we get like freaking Luka or something in a trade. I just like no.
Yeah. Now the other. The other sneaky thing that I heard is that Kawhi might be wanting out of LA. And so Golden State, they could either swap picks with the Clippers, or they could just package their 11th pick with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
To get Kawhi.
I don't know if that one will work considering Butler's age and health.
Yeah,
that's why I'm throwing in a pick. That's why I'm throwing in the pick. That's why because
throwing that pick. Yeah.
I think for Kawhi, like if you make this move, it's obviously for another title, and Curry and Draymond want to go out with another one.
Yeah.
So you don't want to lose any of those main core pieces. But yeah, if you're the Clippers, you're like, if I just get Jimmy Butler, it's not. So it's like, yeah, maybe they want to do a 5-11, get 2 future players and just sort of like build through that.
Yeah, maybe like somebody like a Moody or somebody else. But the Warriors just don't have the capital in terms of players to really give the Clippers that would be like enticing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then so I agree that like the Kings want to be up, but they're another team that like I don't know, like who wants to take a flyer on Westbrook? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's pretty much what you're because like I honestly really don't want them to get they should not give up Maxine Reynaud because you know future. And everyone else on that team is either like being developed, maybe Precious Achiuwa, but I wouldn't want him to go either because he's being developed. Yeah. So it's just like you would have to get a team that
or maybe like a Levine. Maybe they put a Levine package in there for it.
Actually, I forgot about Levine. Yeah. Levine doesn't make sense.
Or DeRozan. No, I don't know about DeRozan because he's older now, but definitely Levine.
Yeah, no.
He's still got some tread on the tires.
And isn't Sabonis still technically on the roster? Or no.
Yeah, he's technically still on the roster. Well, he's still well, no, not technically, he is.
He's on the roster.
Yeah.
Okay. So because of that, I changed my opinion. You can move either Sabonis or you probably want to move Sabonis because Reynaud can play starting minutes.
Yeah.
But it's you have to move either of those pieces and then see if someone really wants them if they want them to move up.
I could feel I could see them doing a Levine trade because then it opens up a roster spot for Acuff. So
yeah,
I can see
that too.
Happen. Yeah.
If you want Acuff to start away, which if you're the Kings, you probably do. So yeah, that's
with a Westbrook. I don't know if I like a Westbrook Acuff backcourt.
I don't know either.
Rather have
Acuff in the off season to offset that, like get rid of Westbrook and bring in like maybe a veteran guard. To really help him out, like a quality one. But so that's a tough position to be in. But like in terms of packaging, I feel like that's a good package right there. What we were talking.
Yeah, about. I mean, honestly though, they couldn't move a guard. They could. I could see Westbrook going for like an Anthony Simmons or like a.
Yeah.
Maybe not a Drew Holiday, but maybe a Drew Holiday. You know, like something like that. And so they just,
like a vet guard like that. So they bring in, but
yeah.
And then
bottom line is the Kings need more help than the 7th pick gives them.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of chewed all we can on NBA draft scenarios, projections, and all that stuff. So now let's move on. So WNBA was in the 2nd week of action this past week. Obviously, we saw a lot of great matchups and great games again. I want to pose this question to you guys since we're talking about WNBA. Who do you think has really impressed you the most through the first couple weeks of this season?
Yeah, I like that. I like that question because here's my thing with that. I would say the obvious answers like the Aces and the Liberty, even though they lost the other day, which I will get into in a little bit. With that, with AZ Fudd finally breaking out like you've been waiting for. We got to talk about here in a little bit. But the most impressive team is a team that
I meant more so player because team is already because we're only through the first 2 weeks, so nothing really has changed on that end. Maybe player performance.
Player performance.
Get more. Yeah.
Well, okay, let's go through the obvious ones real quick. Caitlin Clark is back. Paige Beckers is still playing like Paige Beckers. So those two, I'll say those are the obvious answers that we shouldn't say. I would say Sabrina's debut. I'm gonna go Sabrina's debut coming off the ankle injury. I know they lost the game and the second half wasn't great for the Liberty in that game, but Sabrina actually looked like Sabrina in her first game back. She had 11 at one. She was like efficient from the floor. She was 11 points in the first half. This was the first half. I can go to that game real quick. And pull up.
Because I know, and then the reason I think they also lost that game is because they're still kind of implementing her into the rotation, and they're still trying to find their flow offensively with Sabrina back in. So I think that's more so the reason they lost. I think they'll eventually find their flow with her back in.
So Sabrina ended up with 11. So that was her first half total.
Okay.
11 points. So she was 0 for whatever she was in the first half. Oh my God, we just walked it off. Kowser again. Sorry about the segue. The Baltimore Orioles are doing it again. 13. Oh, it's crazy. No, sorry about that. I know we get back to basketball. So Sabrina had she was efficient in the first half. The second half was kind of where it fell apart in that performance. So I say her first half was impressive. Second half was mediocre. But Sabali, who the Liberty acquired, has been good for them. Has been a good third player. She had 20 in the game on Sunday, and she's been consistent. Yeah. So I like Satu Sabali as an impressive performance. That from a role player kind of a deal. I like that. I also like Hines Allen in Indiana. To shout her out real quick.
Yeah.
That is one that has been impressive so far. Overall. I also have to say we have to talk about Rickea Jackson's injury too.
Yeah.
Something that broke literally the day after the last week that Jacob.
Yeah, literally the day after, we're just like, oh yeah, the Sky are, they're on the rise, and then Rickea Jackson. Oh.
Yeah. So that was a blow. That was a big blow there.
Yeah.
But she was impressive. I'll say that in the few games she played, she was really impressive. And then the obvious ones, obvious ones are like Brianna, Caitlin, Paige, teams like that. I'm gonna also throw in Sonia Citron. I'm gonna as a star player, I want to throw in Sonia Citron from Mystic. Even though the Mystics lost last night, I think Sonia Citron has been playing well this season.
Yeah.
So that's a few I wanted to throw in there, obviously.
I think for me, I'll jump in. I'll give my one player. I think definitely Kelsey Plum so far has definitely been the standout. Obviously, I don't think we have the sort of high expectations for the Sparks. I think they're a playoff team. I just don't see them being a championship contending team just because they don't have much offensively speaking outside of Plum. Obviously, you have Brink, but she's more of a defensive player.
Yeah, she's more of a traditional old big that's minded big.
So I think that's it. But the last game she scored 38 points against the Aces and they won. So I think she's the leading scorer so far through the first couple weeks.
Yeah,
so she's been super impressive. Wanted to give her a shout out. Shane, anybody stand out to you?
I got a super dark horse. Her name is AJ Wilson. I'm kidding. AJ Wilson is playing amazing, I think. And then everyone else he said also, like Paige and all them. So she plays for the Portland Fire.
Yes.
She comes off the bench. Her name is Megan Gustafson.
Yeah.
I saw her play. I saw a couple of Fire games because they've been on Prime. Yeah. And she plays in the WNBA like almost like Carmelo. Like she finds a spot in the paint, and if they dump her the ball, it's like no hesitation, just score. Score. And like I was just talking about, and I was like really, really impressive. I think that I wanted to give her a shout out just because she comes off the bench. I liked her play, and then just I feel like everyone else has been people who we thought. I agree with Ionescu. She's only going to grow with that team even more as the season goes on. And then the people who I see that lining up the stat boards are like Wilson and Clark, obviously Paige Beckers. And then I don't want to say he's a flood yet, but I still have hope.
Well, it was a good first breakout game for her because it's been a struggle the first couple of weeks, but she hadn't been getting much playing time either the first couple of weeks. It's been a little bit weird. Like some games will be like, oh, you get 24 minutes. The next game, you get 16. It's just never consistent on that front. I think now that she's been able to, and I think some of the struggles were due in part to because the WNBA season starts so quickly after you get drafted and then the season starts literally in a few weeks. So I feel like it was more so like a fatigue factor was playing into it to why she was struggling at first, and now I think she's really found. I think that breakout game will really, really help her out.
Yeah, and also we'll say, like I said last week, but it's Mabry as well on the tempo. Is obvious ones. Also Kelsey Mitchell. Found
Kelsey Mitchell
keeping up the momentum of her season without Clark. Being the second scorer, having both of them averaging 20 right now is great for the Fever in that situation. So that's good too. And then I'm trying to think. There was another one I wanted to highlight that has been playing well, really well. I highlighted Centrone. I think that's it.
We covered all the bases, especially.
I was going to say Flage too. I was going to say Flage from
Flage. Yeah, okay.
I was going to say Flage, but I have to look up Flage's numbers real quick. I think
I've seen a few of her highlights on social media, and she's looking pretty good.
Yeah, she has 17 the last night against the Mystics.
Yeah.
I gotta see her averages on the season. She's got 12.6 a game this season so far. So that's not bad.
Well, she's also coming off the bench, so
that's
12
not bad.
Points off the bench is pretty good for a rookie.
Yeah. The efficiencies need to get better, 32 and 30. But
but that was also her struggle in college as well. So
But I would say Flage so far. Is our early leader, and I think one of the early leaders in the clubhouse for rookie of the year right now.
Yeah,
her, maybe Jaquez for the Sky. Gabriella Jaquez.
Well, especially now she's going to get a little bit more playing time.
And then maybe if Fug keeps it up like she did against Liberty, maybe
she could jump into it too.
Jump into it for sure. And then Olivia Miles. I think those are the four right now. I think that can logistically win the women.
Were you going to say, Shane?
I was just gonna shout out Olivia Miles, but I'm looking at her stats. It's 15 points per game. She's averaging 15, 5, and 5, which is decent, but I'd say those are obviously a FUD or anyone else can come and outplay that and be the rookie of the year. So I wouldn't crown her now.
No, I think she's in that she's in that pack. That sort of order for the award, but I don't think she's there yet.
Yeah, and also I think once Collier comes back too from her ankle injury, once Nafisa comes back, I think Miles's volume will go down.
Yeah, especially. I
think that will happen. So I just don't see Miles keeping up with that 15 maybe the 5-5 she'll keep up, but I think she'll go down to like 12 to 11.
Yeah. I agree.
When it's also when Nafisa comes back, because that's Nafisa's team. It's still going to be Nafisa's team.
Yeah.
Hopefully she gets back soon. But I think, just see what else. Is there anything else that we need to highlight WNBA wise, guys? I
feel like we chewed a lot on that subject. I don't know because obviously if we talk about team performances, it goes right back into player performances. So I don't think we have too much to talk about on that.
The thing is only like teams have only played 7 to 6 games so far.
Yeah.
We don't have a great sample size yet, and the Dream have only played 5, which we didn't talk about anyone in the Dream.
Like Reese has been pretty decent so far through the first couple weeks, but it's more so. I just don't. It's just there's so much ground to cover on WNBA, especially with how many stars are in the league now. It's just hard to really them too. Like you kind of have to just throw it out there and not really. Yeah, it's more so like a secondary thing.
Yeah, I mean the main thing too with I'll talk about this about the Dream, and then we can probably
we'll do our socials and then
wrap up.
Yeah,
I'll talk about this about the Dream real quick. I mean, the trade has proven valuable at the 4-1 start in the 5 games they played.
Yeah,
I think it's been valuable for them. You move it, especially when they moved off, let Griner walk in free agency. That was probably the best they made, and then going.
They got younger at the position with Reese coming in. She's been awesome.
She's been great. I do like. I mean, that's the thing is with Angel Reese. I'll always say this until her efficiency gets better, because a lot of her rebounds are always her own offensive rebounds.
You can't knock the effort the chick puts out there. She eats those boards up. I like to call her the WNBA Rodman.
Yeah, pretty much what she is. I mean, 12 and 11, great. That's great numbers for her. But that's the thing. She's leading she has more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds.
Yeah.
8 offensive rebounds a game and then defensive rebounds.
Yeah.
Like that's slight 2/10 is like more offensive. But let's get into I'm gonna get into her fish. You know what? 40%. I thought it was gonna be when I was looking at it, I thought it was gonna be
lower a little bit.
A little lower.
It's kind of hovering around where she was last year. Last year was more so like 41%. It was definitely a step up from her rookie year. I think it was only like 36%.
Yeah.
So
it's I mean, that's the thing. Last year, her second year kind of, stayed around that mark too, that 30% shooting.
Yeah, and then she had a bad start, but then she was able to figure things out. And the thing about Reese is she doesn't have much of an offensive game.
No.
But it's more so, like I said, like she's more like that's why I call her the WNBA Rodman, because she may not have the offensive toolkit as a lot of other bigs, but hey, look, she can rebound like nobody else. So
yeah, and the thing is too, she calls herself one of the best players in the league, and I'm like, on paper, yes. You can say that because there's not
like stat line wise, sure. Yeah, we can say that.
Sure, you can say that. But when you look at the eye test of what her game is, she's not better than Asia Wilson in the post. No. She's not better than Alyssa Thomas in the post, who we haven't really talked about either from the Mercury. She's not really Alyssa Thomas. She's not a Brianna Stewart. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah.
She's not a Brianna Stewart. Nowhere near Brianna Stewart. Especially when they both played a similar position, of the
power forward center combo.
Not the center, but the power forward. Because Brianna can go out and shoot a 3. Asia Wilson has not hit one all year.
But she's a post. She's such a
more post, old school post power forward in that situation. So it's like, okay, but when you look at like Asia Wilson, way better than her. Alyssa Thomas, way better than her. I would say Carleton over her on the Fire. I would say Bridget Carleton over her right now. Personally, I would take Shepard.
Yeah,
being close on eye test. Jessica Shepard, who has been impressive for the Wings. That's another impressive player. Got a bigger role. In a lot, like not so much a lot of Smith, but I'm not trying to disrespect Angel Reese when I say this.
No.
I know Angel Reese has her value, and she plays.
She impacts the game in a different way. Yeah.
And I know she has her value. I know she's been great for the Dream, and I'm not minusculing it. And she's shooting better from the floor this season than I thought. But I just let's pump the brakes on Angel Reese being one of the best bigs in the league.
Until she really grows on offense, I think she'll be like in that mid-tier, like not S-tier position, maybe like a B-tier position. And that's not a slight against her. It's just a reality of, look, you have all these other bigs that are so good on offense, but you dominate rebounding. That's your thing. But until that offense, until you average like 20 and 15, I don't see where you really, jump into that elite tier.
Yeah, you're not good. That's what Asia Wilson averaged. Like, I think Asia is still averaging around that.
Yeah. Well, I think her rebounding is a little bit lower, but she dominates in scoring. So
but the points are way more. So it's I get 2 less rebounds a night and 10 more points.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Reese is a good player. I think the Reese's box might have gone her ahead a bit. But
a little bit, yeah.
We'll see.
I agree.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up. Let's promote the socials. We don't have our banners that we normally have that promote our socials.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's situation with certain things going on. But I'll highlight mine first. At Third BLS on X, as you normally would see, is the one that's on there. _ BLS32 on Instagram, TikTok and YouTube at Ellis Highlight Reel. And you can find me on Facebook at Brandon Ellis. Jacob, go ahead and promote your stuff.
You can find me on Instagram at JDPerrine24. You can also find my stuff, obviously, on Total Apex and Muckrack. I always post on those 2 things. I've kind of been slacking a little bit in terms of posting on Total Apex and writing articles, so definitely going to see an uptick here, and especially this week, going into next week, I'm going to try and write some more, so you'll definitely see some more stuff, especially with NBA Finals, NBA Draft stuff coming up. I'm going to really try and work overtime on that. And yeah, that's pretty much where you can find all my stuff. Shane?
So speaking of people who've been slacking and not writing a lot, you can find my stuff at Total Apex Sports. You can also find me on Instagram at 2 Shanes. It's spelled SHAINZS. And then continuing to cover DFS for the future. The basketball has been great, so probably look for more showdown articles like that. So
Yep. And I think next week if we keep it like this kind of format, next week's show will be probably the last show on here on Total Apex Media for the Limitless range, might be, because I'll be moving on from the company on the 8th of June. It just depends on if they will let me stay and do the last pod of the basketball on the 8th, or they want me to leave that morning. But I think the plan is, if I do have to leave the 8th, we'll go on to Ellis Highlight Reel then and start then. And do everything. The show will move there, all the other shows I have. The Friday pod will be, a little different if they want to keep that. Total Apex. I mean, I'll have the Friday pod will be maybe more high school centric for the Shenandoah Valley, maybe, and then maybe some additional topics if y'all want to come on the Friday show and stuff like that.
We'll discuss that later.
We'll discuss that at other times and stuff like that. And the baseball with me and Chris will be moved to the Ellis after the 7th. The 7th will be the last episode there. So that's the plan. But that's what's going on, and I'll give you more logistics over the next couple of weeks. So how that's going to work.
Question: is there going to be a Friday show this week?
No.
That
is still the Friday show this week. Thank you for reminding me of that. So there's no Friday Sports Roundtable this week. I will be trying to get prep for bed a little early so I can get up and travel to Baltimore next week. So there will be no Friday show this week. Thank you for reminding me of that, Shane. No Friday Sports Roundtable. That will return on the 5th of June. So with that being said, thank y'all for watching the pre-recorded episode of the pre-recorded. We'll figure out if it will go back live next week or we'll be doing another pre-recording. So thank y'all guys.
There you go.
Peace out.
Take care.